All righty, we are going to get started as I'm trying to do all the things of cross sharing. Okie dokie. And me and my uh blurry background as I am in my room. It's summertime from the kiddos. But hi, I am Shanquetta Cunningham, CEO and strategist of Caris Group, where it is my absolute pleasure to support the infrastructure and build the capacity and ecosystem for nonprofit organizations, communities to thrive. And today, I am just going to share a few pointers from the conversation as you can see the topic of nonprofits. And so often you get to hear the great things about starting your nonprofit and how the passion and the purpose that comes behind it. And I also think we're doing a disservice to uh, initial nonprofit founders, or if you are in the ideation contemplation phase of starting a nonprofit organization, or if you are vacillating between starting a nonprofit or launching a business. So today, I'm going to give you some pointers to possibly help you out in that decision. Today's topic may sound again a little strange coming from me as a consultant, a facilitator, a strategist whose business is centered around nonprofits and the sustainability and community impact. So hear me out and just roll with me. And also, I know that seeing the word should or should not, it's like already people are like, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. Absolutely, you can do that. And I'm going to also share why doing that and having that mindset of just not weighing the pros and cons and the introspection, not only of the social and economic market and the philanthropic market, but also analyzing your own personal internal market of your why. Why am I starting or launching a nonprofit or a business? So one of the biggest mistakes I see aspiring founders uh, of nonprofit organizations make is assuming that every good idea should become a nonprofit. Every passion, everything that you want to do to help your community, which is wonderful, which is amazing. We should all be good stewards to support from an organizational perspective, a kingdom perspective, philanthropic scope. Absolutely do the good work. The truth is, though, that not every passion should become a structure. Not every vision needs to become a 501c3 to become a nonprofit. Sometimes you need a business. Sometimes that idea needs a partnership. Sometimes you may need to align with an existing organization that's doing similar work. So today I want to share 3 reasons why you should possibly not start a nonprofit. And of course, again, your prerogative, your decision, all that good stuff. But I hope that today will empower you if you are in between. So, reason number 1, do not start a nonprofit because you're tired of working for someone else. You would not believe, I absolutely hear this all the time. Well, not all the time, but I hear it. I have heard it. I will hear it every single year. Shanquetta, I'm tired of working for other people. Shanquetta, I want to be my own boss. And my response, it has to be truthful with you. That may mean you need to start some type of enterprise, a business, not a nonprofit, because nonprofits don't remove accountability, they increase it. You may say, I want to do my own thing, I want to brand my own way. You may want to launch something, a personal endeavor, a mission. That doesn't mean that you have to start a nonprofit because you believe, well, I need to inspire people. I need to do good work. I know, ouch. Doesn't mean, though, that it has to be in the form of a nonprofit. When you start a nonprofit entity, there is an accountability. And I get the hesitation of starting a nonprofit. Trust me, because you have to deal with donors and grant funding, whether that's accepting, getting rejected, volunteers, community stakeholders. There's a mission. You actually have to gauge how you are impacting the lives of people. You have, you're accountable to a team and a board. The nonprofit sector is truly built on service. And if your primary goal is freedom from people, entrepreneurship may be the better path because philanthropy involves working with people in this ecosystem of service. A nonprofit exists to serve a mission. It is not designed to create a personal stream of income. It definitely adds to it. If you're working for a nonprofit, but it is not for you to build generational wealth on the ham of a nonprofit organization. That's not a bad thing if that's what you desire. It's just important to understand that establishing a 501c3 may not be that route for you. So the question isn't, do I want to work for myself? The question is, do I want to dedicate myself to a mission that's bigger than me? That not only am I wanting to support women to grow and to thrive, do I need to have that as a nonprofit, or can I monetize that doing the good work, but also benefiting and adding that additional income? May not be a nonprofit structure. All right. Reason number 2, don't start a nonprofit because you think grants will save you. I wish. I know there's a lot of outliers. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of entities I see with my own eyes that are consuming many grant funds and are doing maximum grant funds, minimum output of work. I see it as a consultant, have a high disdain for it. It vexes me. Absolutely. But the normalcy and the good that people do in the application of for grants and the receiving of that, it's a process. And one of the biggest myths in the nonprofit sector is that people often believe if I become a 501c3, grant money will just start flowing. I mean, gushers, right? No, a nonprofit designation is not a funding strategy. It's simply a legal structure, like an LLC, S Corp, 501c3 is determined by the IRS as a public charity. Funding comes from relationships, and funding comes from asking, and funding comes from partnerships, and funding comes from results and having programs. And then funding comes from trust. I've seen organizations spend months getting the nonprofit status. I advise, help establish, do it with you, do it for you models, and then become frustrated because funding did not immediately appear. And that's because grant makers invest in organizations that demonstrate leadership, history, community engagement, partnerships, and impact. A nonprofit certification does not automatically create revenue. It is very hard for new founders to understand that. And even, hey, us seasoned, think like, hey, I'm going to solve a problem, making this impact. There's a deficit in this area. Our community needs this structure, and we need to increase literacy rates. We need to eradicate hunger, and we need to eliminate the unhoused, and it's not eliminate them, but the issue. And so definitely understand that funds need to be deployed to solve these real-time issues. but this is a relationship. And just like, if you're in a relationship, there's phases before you get to marriage outside of what the TV and reality shows say, right? So, but so with that mindset of our number 2 point, that grant is not automatic, it's not the saving financial structure. Just a quick story about recently someone just called, literally someone called. We have a 501c3 status. We've been established about 2 years. I apply for grants. I keep getting rejected. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that grant procurement is a process. And so grant writing and grant funding should be a part of an overall funding strategy of donors, of sponsorships, even having maybe some earned income structure into your nonprofit. It takes it all. So you will have to still build the organization and build the relationships and fundraise. All right. Point number 3. You should not start a nonprofit if you're looking for a quick win, which is really a continuation of point number 2. The nonprofit sector is impact work. I do sometimes have a frustration that impact work has to sometimes be proven more strenuously, and the other side of impact is that sometimes transformation doesn't work well with our timeline. It's slow. It should not be as slow, the nonprofit sector, as it is. Serving communities, though, take time, and changing behaviors take time. Strengthening systems takes time. Now, again, I do believe that some things can move faster in this sector. Some decisions can be made quicker because we saw and we see when crisis happens, when administrations change, people can deploy money when they want to. Things can happen when they want to. But again, for the most part, and especially when we're talking about the execution of missions and nonprofits, you're looking for overnight success and immediate results or quick path, and it just doesn't happen. That change doesn't happen on the other side. And even internally, as you are growing your nonprofit organization, for that recognition, for that trust, that takes time. And so starting a nonprofit may not be the right fit. And especially if, whether this is even for business, but you will make mistakes. And if you do not like to hear the word no, oh, starting a nonprofit then may not be the best avenue. Your ideas will have to evolve. The leaders who create lasting impact are not the leaders who avoid mistakes. You're going to avoid mistakes serving people. And perfection is not the goal. And if you are waiting for things to get right, even with a nonprofit, if you believe that you're scared to say, I don't want to hurt people that are already hurt. And so you want to be very meticulous and not move. You need strategy, but you're also going to have to make some decisions. Then maybe starting a nonprofit is not in the best interest as you are, moving forward in your consideration. So just want to wrap this up and clarify. I don't want to discourage anyone from starting a nonprofit. And in fact, even after watching this video and you're committed to doing that, then definitely let's talk, because we can get you launched in 30 days for your nonprofit, and we'll train you and your board in that process to do so. Now, when I say launched in 30 days, that does not mean you will receive your IRS status. It means that we will have the components and then still consult with you as we're awaiting your tax exemption approval. I do want you to make the right decision as best as you can before investing your time and energy and resources into the structure. Because again, not every idea, not everything you're passionate about has to turn into a nonprofit. You can take what you're passionate about and problems that you want to solve and still make it a business. Sometimes the answer is just that, a business, a social enterprise, a partnership, maybe in the more ministry space. And sometimes it is a nonprofit. So, with that, that's exactly why I'm hosting an upcoming virtual live training on June 30th. Should I start a nonprofit or a business? And during this training, we'll discuss the key differences between nonprofits and businesses, the biggest mistakes founders make, how to determine the right structure, what are the funding realities of business grants, nonprofit grants. As a consultant and a strategist, my goals have never been simply just to help people complete the paperwork. My goal is to help leaders build sustainable organizations, create impact, meaningful impact, and position your organization and your team for long-term success. So if you are considering starting a nonprofit, you may have just started a nonprofit, may have just launched your business, and you still need to get clarity of, did I make the right decision? Join me on June 30th. And I should have done this. I'm going to ensure that I drop um, the registration link. I will pin it to this video, or I don't even know if Taylor's watching, but we'll get this information pinned. I should have had that. So, all that to say, but June 30th, it is on Charis Group Consulting Facebook page. It is, if you follow me on LinkedIn, if you will be watching this when this video is shared on YouTube, Charis Group Consulting on LinkedIn and Facebook, my personal page under Shanquetta Cunningham. You will find the registration link. Join if you know of any other individuals that are also wrestling with starting a nonprofit, starting a business, and want to know what is the path to do that. Again, I encourage you to join me on June 30th for a more in-depth discussion and a roadmap, which will also include a workbook so that you launch well with the clarity that you need to do the great work that God's called for you to do. I thank you for joining on today. Share this video, like and tag as well. And I hope to see you on June 30th, for the virtual training. Have a blessed day.